If you are coming across this channel for the first time, a very warm welcome to you. Please subscribe and turn on the notification button so you can get notified when I post the next video. My story is a pathetic one. You may say I'm a terrible person, but I did what I had to do. I got home 2 days after I passed out from NYSC. I was welcomed home with preparations for a party my parents threw for me. It was a great celebration. I didn't see that coming. Dad invited some of our extended family members. We had a house full of guests. Dad celebrated my passing out from NYSC in a big way. My friends expressed their surprises when I sent them a video of the party. Maybe I was among the few ones their parents celebrated for the minutest achievement. Oh, forgive me, my name is Amanda. Okay, back to what got me telling this story. Life has been so unfair to me. After the aforementioned party, my Aunt Emily and I were clearing the dishes. We would walk to the kitchen with a hand or tray full of dishes and glasses. On one of the several trips, she was walking ahead of me while I tagged along. She threw this question, "Amanda, how far na? Who is on board?" Auntie Emily is more like a friend to me. I discuss things like this with her more than I discuss with my mom. My mom always gave me that covert treatment when it came to matters that had to do with boys. Each time she suspected I was talking with a guy on phone, her only slogan was, "Amanda, if they get you pregnant, you will carry the child alone." As if Mom doesn't know that one could keep a male friend without sex. "Auntie, there is someone," I replied. We were already at the kitchen sink. Washing and cleaning was about to start. Mom walked in on us, and we all faced the plates with smiles on our faces. "You two cannot sell all of us, I hope you know." We burst out laughing. She picked a bottle of wine from the fridge and left. Auntie Emily came closer. "Yes, my dear, just me. Who is he? Any hopes of settling down soon?" "I hope it's not your fellow corper. He has a long way to go." I looked at her in surprise. Auntie, which question should I answer first?" "Anyone?" she replied. I took my time to describe Jimmy. Jimmy is a very smart, good-looking guy. I served in Abuja. I met Jimmy one of the days I was returning from work. I was lost in thoughts when I noticed the car which had passed, reversing. I thought it could be someone who is trying to find his way, but immediately he pulled over. His fairness alone got my attention. For a while, I prayed that it won't just end at asking for a location. He introduced himself. He is a very successful businessman and lived 2 streets away from where my firm was situated. He asked for my number, I gave him, and right there he dialed it. I saved it as Fair Jimmy. That was the striking thing about him, he's undeniably handsome. We kept talking on phone. He picked me up once for lunch. We chatted and had a good time driving around town, as I already told him I was new in the town. It became more of a regular thing. Sometimes we would drive around in the evening. He invited me to his house. At first, I wasn't okay with going there because it was the same period women were strangled in hotel rooms. I told Abiona, my friend, about it, and she offered to accompany me. I told Jimmy that I was bringing someone along, and he was okay with it. He picked us up at mid-morning on a Saturday. His security guy, whom he nicknamed DJ Musa as I got to know after introduction, opened his gate as he carefully drove in. "DJ, how far na?" Jimmy hurled at him. "I'm Pine Uga," he replied. He alighted and opened the door for me. Abiona had already alighted. I alighted and he called DJ Musa. Introduced him as the guy who has all the Nigerian jams stored in his phone. He always played them while he worked. When he blared, he was happy. When it was low, he was moody. He introduced me to Musa as the madam. I admired the relationship between Jimmy and his staff, as Musa excitedly told him about how his sick dog was beginning to feed gradually. They chatted while Abiona and I took a tour around the compound with our eyes. We kept making faces at each other, as Abiona kept giving me thumbs-ups. Jimmy's house was so neat and richly furnished, he is obviously comfortable. Well, the day went well. Jimmy had cooked a delicious jollof rice and chicken. We ate and sent it home with a glass of chilled juice. He had a good sense of humor. We chatted away the evening with no one watching the clock. He drove us back home. "Wow!" Auntie Emily exclaimed. "Do such sweet guys still exist? I thought your uncle was the last one." We laughed. "So, tell me the other part," she added. "What part?" I asked. The mischievous look on her face answered my question. "Oh no. Auntie, don't go there," I cut in. Not like Jimmy didn't make moves, though. But I told him I want to wait, and he said he could wait till I'm ready. My relationship with him was a bed of roses. He pampered me with gifts and money. We spent more time together till I returned to Enugu. Nothing changed. Our love flourished. One morning, we had just finished our morning devotion. My 3 sisters and I left the sitting room while Dad and Mum stayed back to discuss as they usually do. I have 3 younger sisters. We are 4. I'm the eldest, so you could guess how stressful it was to get my sisters to do their chores. Chetta was in her 3rd year, Jenny was in her 1st year, and Elo was in SS2. We found ourselves getting paired up. Chetta and I were closer. Jenny and Elo were besties. Those 2 could sell off the whole of Enugu without traces of its existence. I succeeded in dishing out the chores to each them as I went into the kitchen to make breakfast. I'm excited to know that you watched to this point. I believe that you find this story interesting. Kindly subscribe and turn on the notification button. Thank you. My sister came running in with my phone, smiling as she advanced closer. She handed the phone to me with a whisper of, "Baby?" I smiled and took the phone from her. "Hello, Cupcake," Jimmy said softly. He picked up this name from a movie we saw together in the cinema. I liked it, though, or maybe because it came from a man I'm in love with. "Good morning, handsome," I replied. Jimmy asked how everyone was faring. We chatted and laughed for a while. He decided to release me as I already told him that I was in the kitchen. There was something different about Jimmy's comportment that morning. I wondered why he kept professing his love for me and how he couldn't wait to see me again. I was caught in the moment. I grinned from ear to ear. Before he got off the phone, he said, "Please don't say no." I demanded to know what I shouldn't say no to, and he hung up. All my efforts to reach Jimmy failed. He switched off every means of communication. I became really worried. I hurriedly prepared breakfast and went into my room. I called Abiona and told her everything. She tried to pacify me. She advised me to give it a little time, that Jimmy would definitely get back to me. She assured me that all was well and brought up conversations about her newfound love. For a moment, I snapped out of the mood. Abiona fell into the group of people who only cared about momentary comfort. She had no room to accommodate emotional palava from men, as she named it. Abiona dated 4 guys within the period of our service year. Forgetting her birthday made her ditch guy. Not returning her calls after some hours kicked another guy out. I remember how the dude cursed and swore at her when she told him she was done. You can guess how interesting this gist is, as Abiona had fallen so much in love this time around that she was able to ignore certain things she talked about. I was still on the phone with her when Chetta called out, "Amanda, someone is here to see you." I excused myself as Abiona, who already heard Ijoma calling out, hung up with, "I will call you back." I dropped my phone on the bed, cleaned my face with my palm. Tears had welled up in my eyes from laughter, while Abiona was going on about her love. My parents had left the sitting room. I walked to the door, which Chetta had left ajar, and met a delivery man who had 3 boxes. One was cake. My love for pizza, of course, pushed me to recognize the 2 other boxes. "Good morning, ma'am," the delivery man said. "Are you Amanda?" "Yes, I am," I replied. "Mr. Jimmy ordered these for you." At that point, I understood what it meant to have butterflies in one's stomach. I knew Jimmy to be full of surprises, but he got me on this, I must admit. He handed me the boxes. I carried in the cake first and came for the 2 other boxes. He showed me a space to sign and took his leave. My 3 sisters startled me as they all ran in at once. I'm sure they had been peeping or possibly eavesdropping. They all had different questions to ask. I tried to calm them with brief answers like, "A friend sent it." "No, we are not getting married yet." "Yes, he is Igbo." My mum walked in. Surprisingly, she seemed as excited as my sisters. My sisters were quick to open the boxes of pizza. I opened the cake and found a small box. It could be a piece of jewelry, I thought to myself. Jimmy was fond of giving me such gifts. I opened it and found a ring inside. This time, my sisters exclaimed in unison, "Oh!" My mum kept smiling. I dialed Jimmy's number, of course. The romantic culprit was reachable this time around. He dropped the call and called back immediately. "Hello, beautiful. I trust you have seen my little surprise," Jimmy said. "Yes, I have, and—" Jimmy cuts in. "The day I met you was the day a lot of things took a good shape for me. You have been a blessing. I found all I need packaged in one woman. I love you so much, and I'm asking you to let me love you for the rest of your life. Please be my wife." Tears rolled down my eyes. I struggled to mutter, "Yes, baby, I will marry you." "Yes!" Jimmy screamed at the end, and I couldn't hear him clearly anymore. Guessed he got a bit far from his phone. I hung up as my sisters were all staring in askance. My dad was already seated on his favorite sofa. He had this indifferent look. I knew I had a lot to explain. At this point, no one remembered breakfast anymore. I told them all they needed to know about Jimmy. He is from Anambra State. His parents were retired civil servants. He is the first son. A lot was discussed as Dad made it an interview session. Mom was overly excited. She gave Elo some money to get soft drinks. We ate as they clustered around my phone watching pictures. Elo played the narrator as I had told her stories of my service year went. Dad just took a little slice of cake and left us. Auntie Emily visited, and we chatted into the night as she kept giving me tips on how to plan my traditional marriage and wedding, how I'm going to manage my home and all. Jimmy asked for my parents' numbers, called them individually. In his discussion with my dad, he said he would visit us the next weekend. Dad told Mom about it. In my discussions with Jimmy, he kept asking me what my parents would want him to get them while coming. He was so nervous. I tried to make him feel at ease. He said he was going to come with Akeem, one of the few friends he had who lived in Enugu. We prepared a bacha with assorted mangala fish, fried rice, and chicken. When they arrived, my family was excited to receive them. Jimmy and my dad got along so well that Akeem was only following the discussions. They seemed to share same interests. They fixed a date for marriage introduction and a few other minor marriage rites. Preparations began, shopping for the required items and a few other things. Jimmy was in Aka by Friday afternoon. He was supposed to pick up his uncles and a few cousins. Akeem would join them when they got to Enugu town. Earlier that same Friday, we went to the village in Enugu. The next morning met my house as busy as a beehive. Mum, Auntie Emily, and another aunt were at the fireplace. Jimmy and I spoke very early that morning. He was concerned about knowing if my dad was able to get the famous Udi palm wine. Abiona kept calling to check up on me. Fichi, my friend from the university, came with us on Friday. Fichi and I were inside taking pictures and going over my makeover kit. I do my own makeover by myself, a perfect one. My sisters and cousins were busy with slicing and grating carrots, cabbages, and other vegetables for salad. My dad walked in to announce that it was almost 11 a.m. and urged me to go have a bath and get dressed. "You need to start that painting of yours earlier," he said. Everyone laughed. My makeup was the painting he meant. Everything and everyone was set at 2 p.m. Dad came into the room where I was with Abiona and asked me if I had heard from Jimmy. I told him I spoke with him in the morning. He instructed me to call him to know where they were as my uncles were beginning to assemble in our spacious sitting room. Ugwu, the oldest man in my kindred, walked in with his oversized slippers slapping the sole of his feet, making a rather distracting noise. I greeted him, curtsying. Ugwu had almost lost his voice. He murmured as I caught a glance of his scarce dentition, which my sisters and I laughed at in Enugu. He used to be a jolly old fellow before his legs began to fail him. He walked past and I got back to my phone. I dialed Jimmy's number severally, but it wasn't connecting. I was worried sick. What could have happened? Couldn't he have used someone's phone to contact me if something went wrong with his? Jimmy's number remained switched off till late in the evening. Akeem's number was also switched off. My uncles ate and left. I woke up the next morning, and my sisters and Feichi surrounded me. I was told that I had passed out last night. They monitored me in turns all night to ensure that I did not stop breathing. I wondered what was going on. Did something happen to my Jimmy and no one could tell me? Was it an accident? I thought of these as I washed off my face for the morning. Tears rolled down my tired face. Jenny stood watching me as she held my phone. She had been taking all my calls since last night. I was summoned by my dad and two uncles. My paternal aunts were also there. Dad pointed at a single sofa and calmly asked me to sit. "Amanda, how are you doing?" Uncle Chima broke the silence. "I'm fine, Uncle," I replied. He continued, "What happened yesterday was none of your fault. We have been experiencing it for years. That's why your sisters here are yet unmarried. The married ones are either married to other tribes or married to our type." I wondered what Uncle Chima was driving at. "Your fiancé and his people were not held up by anything else but the fact that they are freeborns and cannot be unequally yoked with us." At this point, I had to interrupt Uncle Chima because I became impatient. "Uncle, what are you talking about?" I queried. He replied, "Amanda, we are Osu. You come from the kindred of Osu." I stared on as Uncle Chima continued. I had listened to my roommate in the university talk about Osu in her place. Ella always told us that her dad warned her not to visit or let her friend Maria, whom she met at catechism, visit her. According to Ella, Osu is an outcast who is dedicated to a deity. They are stigmatized and cannot mingle with the freeborns. Uncle Chima's voice brought me back from my thoughts. "My dear, you have to learn to accept yourself and pray you meet a man who could accept you because Osu has been abolished in some parts of Igbo land. If you do not meet such a man, then the savior could only come from other tribes or countries, as the case may be." Uncle Chima did not go on to explain what Osu in its entirety means, but I didn't ask much questions. I knew I would have a better discussion with my dad. The meeting ended. My aunts left. Jenny took me by the hand and we left. We met Auntie Emily just immediately we entered the backyard. In her usual playful way, she said, "Jenny, she's my client now. Hand her over to me." That was the moment I relaxed my nerves a little to smile wearily as she gently pulled me off Jenny's hand, and we went inside the room. Immediately, she closed the door. I hugged her so tightly and wept out my eyes. She held me tightly as she consoled me with a sobbing voice. "I'm sorry, baby, you can cry, it's normal, but this has to be the last time you would cry for this guy." She pulled me out of the embrace, and we sat down on the bed. "Auntie, I don't understand why I'm so unfortunate to come from this family. Wait, how come you married my Uncle Richard? Are you also from Osu kindred?" "No," she replied. "I loved Richard so much that nothing mattered to me than being with him. My family came to make inquiry just as Jimmy's family must have done. But what I do not understand is why he didn't call it off earlier. Not like this is the first time such a thing is happening, but I thought Jimmy was more learned to do things better than this. Your cousin Dara went through this just the way it happened. Cynthia was lucky that her suitor called off the engagement earlier." "But Auntie, how did Jimmy find out?" I asked. She continued, "His father must have sent someone to inquire about our family. That's how it works. My own father did the same and swore never to be a part of the marriage." "So how did you get here?" I asked. "My elder brother, who is a true Christian, gave me his support. We wedded in the court in Lagos before Richard was transferred to the east. As for my mum, my father stopped her from attending the wedding and insisted that she won't do the umugwo of any of my children." "So who did?" I asked. "My aunt did," she replied. "But I have met your dad and your mum twice in your house," I asked, as I wondered what changed. She smiled as she quipped, "Osu was abolished in my place 20 years ago. The elders worked in agreement with the church in my hometown, and Osu system was abolished." "So why are my people still holding it so dear?" I asked. "Let's not continue with this pity party," Auntie Emily said, as she waved off my question. She advised me to continue trying to reach Jimmy and to ask him to make out time to see me as we really needed to talk. She explained that Jimmy's hands were tied and he couldn't have done anything. He was the only son and he must have had everyone being on his neck about the Osu system. Jimmy's number became reachable on Sunday afternoon when I tried it after my discussion with Auntie Emily, but he wasn't picking up my calls. I got a message from Abiona, who was already getting worried about me because Jenny only told her that I was fine, but couldn't talk yet throughout that Saturday. I had already pulled myself together and was able to discuss at length with her. She wondered how a belief system could deny one of such a blissful life with Jimmy. She promised to take the first bus from Lagos to Enugu on Tuesday to meet me. She knew I needed someone around. Mum wasn't really helpful. She only told me to move on with my life, that God will send another man. I needed more than those words at that time. We got back to town on Tuesday afternoon. Chetta helped me unpack my bag as I just laid down and slept off. Abiona's call woke me up. She was already in an Okada, heading to my house. I was happy as I anticipated her arrival. It was at this time it occurred to me that I didn't inform anyone about her visit. I came out of the room and met my mum picking beans in the kitchen. I informed her about Abiona's arrival. She was fine with it, and then sent Chetta to go and buy 2 bottles of soda and some crackers biscuits for Abiona and I as she was still preparing to cook. I helped Abiona to carry her small travel bag, and she carried her handbag. She went straight to the kitchen and curtsied as she greeted my mum in the Yoruba way. Mum asked about her family and her journey. We went in. You can guess what ensued. With the help of Abiona, I wrote a long text message that I sent to Jimmy. I reminded him about what we shared and the promises he made. I ended the message with asking that he tries to see me within that week. Surprisingly, Jimmy replied, "Baby, I'm so sorry. I don't know how to face you. I would be in Enugu on Friday. I will forward the address of the hotel where I would lodge. Then you meet me there." For once, I heaved a sigh of relief. I told Abiona that I was going to get my Jimmy back no matter what it took. My family was happy with Abiona's arrival as I began to heal little by little. Auntie Emily always called to check up on me. I avoided calls from other friends. I only spoke with Ella, who had left the village on Sunday evening. I begged her to keep the whole drama a top secret, and she assured me that my secret was safe with her. Abiona was seeing a movie in my laptop when I showed her the message Jimmy sent. We boarded Kiki to the Fountains Hotel where Jimmy had lodged. The receptionist called him, and he asked her to direct us to his room. My heart pounded so fast that I felt blood rushing up as I knocked on the door. Abiona noticed what was going on and held my hand. She was tensed, too. Jimmy opened the door. A sight of him alone got me tearfully excited. He drew me into a warm embrace and we sobbed like kids. Abiona sat on the chair. We hugged for a long while before I pulled out and sat on the bed. Jimmy asked what he could order. We told him we were fine. He started, "I walked into my dad's room and met Mum there. They stopped talking immediately. I walked in. I asked them what was going on and reminded them that it was 8 a.m. already and they needed to get dressed, as we would be on our way latest by 10 a.m. I left, but Dad called me back. He asked me to sit down, and I asked if we had lost anyone. He said we hadn't. Dad began, "Jim, there is a big problem. The man I asked to make inquiry about your bride's family told me all was well. He called me again to tell me that she is Osu." Mum snapped her finger as she muttered, "Tufiakwa," simultaneously. I knew there was a problem because they fought my uncle so hard that they excommunicated him when he insisted on marrying his wife. Till date, no one knows how my uncle is faring in his marriage. We do not have Osu system in my community, but we recognize the fact that it exists in other areas in the Igbo community, and we do not want to meddle in it. I'm sorry I couldn't not get to you. I didn't know how to call someone I just discussed with some hours ago to say that the marriage introduction we had planned to do the same day wouldn't hold. You have the right to be mad at me. I have embarrassed you and caused you pain. That Saturday was a terrible day for me. I saw the love I had built for months slip away." Jimmy stopped as tears rolled down his eyes. I went to him and held him so tight as I told him to fight for what he believed in and had worked for. Abiona spoke for the first time since we came in. "Jimmy, I'm sorry about everything that happened. I understand how difficult it is for you two, but I think it's high time you stood for Amanda. She loves you and can't be without you. I'm not Igbo and I'm not in a good position to make suggestions here, but one thing I believe in is that we can achieve whatever we are determined to achieve. Talk to people you can trust to bring solution. Involve your pastor, just do anything you can." Jimmy said nothing as Abiona spoke. He just stared on. We went down to the bar. He ordered 2 plates of peppered gizzard for us, while the bartender poured a bottle of wine in our glasses. Jimmy kept staring at me. Abiona went back to Lagos on Wednesday the next week, making it a 1-week stay. The relationship between Jimmy and I never returned to normal. He stopped calling and took my call when he deemed fit. His responses were always cold. Auntie Emily advised that I move on. I really wish she understood how difficult it was. 6 months later, I couldn't still move on. One weekend, I lied to my family that I was visiting Abiona in Lagos. I left for Abuja. I had some money on me as I had started working with a firm. The plan was to lodge in an affordable hotel for the 3 days I would be in Abuja should Jimmy refuse to accommodate me. I got to Jimmy's gate, knocked softly. DJ Musa was so excited to see me. He told me that Jimmy was not home, but another madam visited. I don't know how it worked, but I controlled the tears. I wish I gave up at that time, but I didn't. I needed to see the madam and also see Jimmy. I acted as if I was okay with the madam thing and told Musa to open the gate that I would like to leave a message with madam. I heard a female voice calling out to Musa. She asked him who was there. Musa opened the gate and I walked in with my little luggage. She was beautiful, though, but that didn't make sense at that time. We stared at each other for a long time before she asked, "Who are you?" I returned the question to her. She asked me who I was there to see, and I told her that Jimmy invited me over. She got so furious and told Musa to push me away. Musa was so blunt to say that I was the main madam he knows, and that I treated him like family when I was there. She walked into the house and slammed the door. Musa gave me a seat. I noticed he avoided discussing anything with me. I gave him some money. It felt like that was the last day I would meet him. Something kept pushing me to go, but I needed to set my eyes on my Jimmy and hear him tell me goodbye to my face. It was getting late. Musa assured me that he would be on his way. I stayed back. I had not had anything to eat apart from the drink and pastry I ate in the bus. Hunger was the last thing on my mind. From time to time, Madam came out to see if I was still there with Musa. My thoughts each time she looked, "Sorry to disappoint you, Hanty. I'm still here." Jimmy honked and Musa rushed to open the gate. Madam, who must have heard his horn, came out. Jimmy drove in as careful as he always did while we stopped by at his house those days. As usual, he asked Musa how he was doing. I was surprised that Jimmy was having a normal day while I tied myself up with the thoughts of him. His cheerful looks changed greatly. Immediately, he saw me. He parked his car under the carport and alighted. Madam came forward to collect his bag. She walked behind him as he walked to me. "Amanda, why are you being so stubborn?" he yelled. Jimmy had never done this before. He only walked out when he was angry, and we settled when he felt better. I was so bitter. "It can't work between us," he continued. "I'm the only son, and I can't lose my inheritance and my family's love because of you. I still love you, I must admit, but this can't work." He walked out, and Madam tagged along. Musa stood with his head bent. I got up, told Musa to open the gate. I was walking down to the gate when Jimmy called me. "Amanda, you can't go out there, it's late. You will pass the night here and leave tomorrow morning." Madam hissed loudly and walked out. I stayed in the visitor's room. That night was unbearable for me. Madam kept screaming and moaning loudly. I got up. I couldn't get myself to sleep. I sat up for a while and decided to get some water from the kitchen. I still had that feeling of being home in Jimmy's house even though I had began to accept my fate, or so I thought. I picked a bottle of water from the fridge. I was just about walking back to the room when I saw Madam staring at me. I guessed she needed water too. I made to leave and she blocked me. I could go physical when I'm angered, but I thought I had it all together that night. I smiled angrily and made to pass again, and she blocked me. The next thing was a resounding slap on my face. I slapped her back and pushed her. She fell on her back. I was giving out countless jabs to her when Jimmy pulled me up. "Amanda, stop it!" Jimmy yelled. I got up from her. She laid down jerking. Jimmy pulled her up and continued calling her and tapping her chest at the same time. For the first time, I heard her name, Sandra. Jimmy tried to pull her, but she laid lifeless. "Amanda, what have you done?" Jimmy screamed. I realized I may have just killed someone. We tried everything to resuscitate her, but she laid lifeless. Jimmy and I didn't say a word to each other as we sat on the floor watching her. My world came crumbling. I thought of the best way to explain this to my parents. Sandra was confirmed dead when we got to the hospital. This is my 7th month in prison. I am still awaiting trial. I know I don't deserve mercy. I'm a terrible person. Don't feel pity for me. Please fight for the abolishment of Osu if it exists in your community. Thank you for watching. Kindly subscribe and turn on the notification button. Share this video with someone who would love it, and do share your thoughts about the video in the comments section.